Hi.
Superman 3,
Yeah.
Greg.
Did-
Everybody knows we're big fans of the Superman franchise. Certainly 1 and 2, anyway. All of them, really, but we have our issues with 3 and 4, don't we?
Issues, yes, but 4 still cuts it for me, and I know we've spoken about that before, but it does. 3, however, I have many problems with.
It was released June the 17th, 1983, in the United States of America, and a month later in the UK, apparently. Go on then, Greg.
I was just going to say, right? We know. I'm sure everybody knows the story about it, don't they? The Salkinds thought, let's make a big, another Superman massive film, and then
Let's let Richard Lester
do the whole
direct it
thing.
all.
And they wanted to go down the route of make it more of a comedy, slapstick thing.
Can I tell you what I think his biggest problem is?
Well, I haven't finished yet. And then
Rude.
What?
Rude.
Well, I think you'll find you judging me actually. And then Richard Pryor was on a chat show, wasn't he? And they just said to him, they started talking about Superman or whatever, and he said, "I would love to be in a Superman film. That is my ultimate dream." And they clocked onto that and thought, well, let's make it ultimate comedy and bring comedian into it.
That for me is Superman 3's biggest problem, in that I think it's a Superman film where Superman isn't the central character.
No, he's not, is he?
I think they concentrate on Richard Pryor's character far too much.
It's all about him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Superman, I mean, the one, what's the warming thing about 1, 2 is there are some little bits that you can chuckle at, but it's still a Superman movie. 3, I mean, let's start from the beginning, Jason. There is no credits like 1 and 2.
No.
Or even 4.
At least 4 had an attempt at doing
Yeah,
it.
wasn't very good, but they did it. 3 starts with people walking down the street, falling into pits, penguins, someone drowning in a car.
You see, Richard Lester was very lucky with 2 because he already had loads of stuff that Richard Donner had done, which is why 2 was still a good film.
It was a good 60-70%, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then, I mean, the guy directed A Hard Day's Night, the Beatles film, which is great, but you could have foresaw what he was going to do with Superman.
He did The Musketeers as well, didn't he?
Did he?
I think so. That was a comedy, the comedy version of that, or the 4 was it? I don't know what it was. And I don't know what it was. The Salkinds thought, Salkinds obviously the people who run it and everything and own it. And they thought, let's take it down this avenue, and I don't know why they did that.
Well, you have to think that it was only because of Richard Donner that the first one was fantastic and the second one was still good, because of all the stuff Richard Donner did. He must have had to fight tooth and nail to do it seriously. It was a bit campy still, but it was the late 70s when the first one came out. But from the next 2 films that the Salkinds had more control over, like Superman 3 and Supergirl, then you must have thought that was what they wanted for 1 and 2 but didn't get, and that's why Richard Donner was eventually fired.
Can you imagine if they had gone down that route for 1?
Yeah, it just wouldn't have been the hit that it is now. And it's only because of 1 and 2 possibly that 3 and 4 sold any tickets.
Oh, absolutely. You can't tell me, I mean, bless him, God rest his soul, Richard Pryor, you can't tell me that Superman fans went to see it because of him. Well, I don't even think fans of him went to go and see it, to be honest.
No.
It's a Superman film. I mean, everything from start to finish. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still one of them films that as a kid I grew up, I loved it and watched it and still rented it from the video shop and whatever, but it has to be out of the 4, for me, the weakest.
You can see that Dick Donner didn't rescue. Dick Donner made the first 2, didn't he?
Mm.
And that 3 and 4, when he wasn't involved, the Salkinds got their own way.
Well, not 4.
Well, no, not 4, because that was the Cannon group. But Richard Lester was obviously given free rein to make the... It's not a good comedy film, do you know what I mean?
No, it's not. They ruined what he worked on in 1 and 2. Like I said, the warmth you get with the characters and everything. And also, he stripped half the characters out of it, didn't he? Like Lois Lane.
Where's Lex Luthor?
Well, see, I heard they tried to get him. He couldn't get him. He didn't want to do it, or they couldn't... Or he was doing something else, or whatever. And then they tried to get somebody else. Again, I don't know who this guy is. They tried to get somebody else. Because there's an interview on YouTube somewhere with Salkind, and he says they don't, and they still didn't rate him as a bad guy. Who was he?
Don't know.
He's a well-known actor, isn't he?
Who? Lex
Bad-
Luthor?
No, the bad guy in 3.
Oh, Robert Vaughn.
That's it. They didn't rate him as that part, and Salkinds certainly didn't, and he didn't particularly think he was right for that part. But they put him in it. Didn't like him in it, but they didn't give him the Lex Luthor role, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But you'd have done what it takes, wouldn't you, to get Gene Hackman back?
Oh, absolutely. There's obviously some reason why he wouldn't do it, because he did 4.
Yeah. Well, that's
because of Chris Reeve.
Writing it, I think, and everything. And they were really upset, weren't they, people? Especially Gene Hackman, that Dick Donner had not been given it again. And I think he just flat out refused to do it because of Dick Donner.
Right.
Whereas at least the 4th one, new company, still Christopher Reeve doing it. They got rid of Lois Lane because she had an opinion about Dick Donner, so she only had a small part. I said.
Yes.
And then they brought in Lana.
Yeah.
She did a good part, but it's not the same, is it?
Well, there was like 2 halves to the film, wasn't there? There was the bit set in Smallville, and the bit with the computers and all of that. Computers and PCs were emerging technology at the time, weren't they? And maybe they thought it was the way to go. But it also has echoes of Brainiac from the original comic books, doesn't it?
But that's where the originals didn't go, did they? They didn't go down the route of the comic, which is where the Man of Steel and all that are going. I mean, the new one, Batman and Superman, it's going to have them all in, apparently, isn't it?
Is it?
They never went down that route. That's why they were slightly more believable, I think, than the new ones are. But like you said, technology was coming in then, wasn't it?
There's 2 bits of this film that I still cannot watch.
Don't tell me. I can't even think about it.
2 bits. First
Tell
bit,
me the not so obvious bit.
the not so obvious. The first one is Bad Superman.
Oh, yeah.
The fight. I find that really difficult to watch.
It's still hard now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Superman can't be bad.
No. And he's beating up Clark Kent.
And we know the other bit, don't we? Because I don't know a person.
And I'm sure that everyone who's listening to this feels the same.
Horrible.
The robot.
With the wires over the face.
I can't watch it now.
I can't. I turn it over.
And me.
Just quick turn it over and then come back to it.
Yeah.
Because I know it's coming.
Oh, no.
Oh, the set's fell apart.
Never mind.
Oh, well.
I mean, if it's on the TV, I'll make up an excuse and say, oh, let's see what else is on.
Just for a minute.
Bit, and then go, oh, there's nothing on. Let's put it back.
I can't watch it. It's horrible. It's a Michael Jackson Thriller moment for me as a kid. Can't watch it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
They must have known how horrible it is as well. How can you go all funny and comedy
and then do that?
It's just... You're messing with my emotions, man.
1 minute, they're flying...
Skiing off a roof.
And flying on a balloon.
Yeah.
And Richard Pryor's on a donkey, of course.
And the next
minute, it's gone all...
Wires round a face turn into a robot. Oh, it's horrible. So, storyline, what do you think?
It was a bit rubbish, wasn't it?
The whole... I think you sort of knew from the start when Lois was not going to be in it. He's being packed off to Smallville. Lana is the... Are you yawning?
I'm just holding a little yawn in, yeah.
Am I boring you? I listened to Ghostbusters for 3 hours of you talking. And and then they went to Smallville, and there was a fire on the way to Smallville. Do you remember?
Yeah.
In the factory.
Yeah, well, that was an actual factory, that, apparently. Just being built. So how they got permission to set it on fire, I'll never know. They obviously must have paid them quite a lot.
It's funny how a bit of rain put all that out as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Frozen lake.
But yeah, the frozen lake, and he comes over and a bit of rain puts all that out.
And the other thing that annoys me is what's his face, photographer. He's like a bad penny. He turns up everywhere. He was in Supergirl.
He must have been the cheapest of all.
I'm Mark McClure.
He must have been the cheapest of them all, mustn't he, to get in them all? Yeah, he was in them all, wasn't he?
Yeah, broke his leg.
Yeah. Wasn't that serious, though, because Superman told him.
Yeah, he x-rayed it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he went back on the bus to Smallville.
Yeah.
And then it all sort of gets funny from there, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's that whole... Is it Brad? Or Chad?
Yeah,
Brad?
What's...
What is that about?
Well, it's her ex, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lana's ex.
Who just happens to have the keys to the computer
the
thing
computer, yeah,
that Gus needs. That's the other thing. That salesman, the liquor salesman that he plays to get into the...
Knocks the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he certainly opens the thing.
It's just like they've said we need to let Richard Pryor do some improvisation and stuff because he's Richard Pryor. So they've done that.
Do you remember the bit with the traffic lights when he was on the computer?
Yeah. When one climbs up.
Down, and and starts beating him.
Yeah.
It's just...
Ridiculous.
It went from... I know Superman isn't believable, because it's not believable, but it went from 1 and 2 to... you're in it. You can
You
get
believe
it.
a man can fly?
Yeah, you're in it. And then 3 comes along, and the traffic lights fight with each other. That's not...
Richard Lester, that, I think.
So where are we now? Right, that bit. That was ridiculous. Then he... Oh, yeah, the bit off the skiing off the roof is ridiculous. I mean, that really is ridiculous.
I watched a documentary that took 3 months to build.
You're yawning again, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's wrong with
Well,
you,
it
Jason?
is about 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it is, to be fair, yeah. We don't just do one take of this, do we?
No, I've
Takes
been here for a week.
A week setting up. Slightly new setup. Anyone spotted it? No?
I haven't even spotted it, so...
No one gives a monkeys, do they?
No.
In fact, no one's listening anyway.
No.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I won't say hello to your wife, because
Who
she
else
never listens.
do you normally say hello to?
Oh, my other half, she'll be listening.
And all the
All the team.
all the
Crew.
truckers out there.
I haven't said hello to the truckers yet, have I?
No.
Oh, shall I do it now?
Yeah.
A big hello to all the truckers out there.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got to that point where he's got all the bits for the supercomputer and he's designed it. They take him up the mountain, build the supercomputer. They lure Superman there.
Oh, the kryptonite.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, it makes him bad, doesn't he?
Yeah, synthetic kryptonite, so they make kryptonite.
But why does it make him bad? It's not real kryptonite, is it?
Exactly, because they get the recipe slightly wrong, perhaps.
Oh, it doesn't kill him. That makes... Yeah, of course it does. I knew that. It doesn't kill him. It makes him bad, doesn't it?
And he separates into 2 people.
And it's funny just because he's bad, the suit's darker.
Yeah.
But that is good, the way they make the good.
That's another bit that annoys me, where he straightens the Leaning Tower of Pisa and all of that. And
See, they could have kept that. That wasn't too bad with the guy making the statues. That was all right. That could have passed for 1 and 2. But are you yawning again?
No.
I saw that then.
I wasn't a
It
yawn.
wasn't the yawn.
It wasn't.
Your nostrils flared and everything.
I didn't yawn then, so you're wrong.
That would have passed, but for a 90% of the film to be a comedy, it's just the wrong thing to do. The set's falling apart here, Jace.
Oh, never mind.
So yeah, the kryptonite is bad. And then he goes and starts chatting up Lana as Superman, doesn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And there's something wrong with the bridge. He's too late to get there.
Oh yeah, it's like he doesn't care about anything
And then he
anymore.
flies and spins upside down.
And he's sat in the bar flicking the peanuts.
That's
and
it, yeah.
Smashing the...
And the kid shouts his name, Superman, really annoyingly.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the scrapyard.
Yeah, and has a fight with himself.
After he's beaten the ship and let all the oil out. Because he's been told to by the girl on the New York Statue of Liberty.
Pamela Stevenson. Billy Connolly's
wife, yeah. So then it's the scrap.
I mean, there were only 2 reasons she was in it.
Acting and...
No, Greg.
No?
No.
Oh. I'll talk about it to you after.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, all that... I mean, they were all a new cast, but they weren't... What would you have done with 3? If you had an open book then, what would you have done with it?
I don't mind the Smallville element. I think they could have explored that a bit more. But the other element of it, I certainly wouldn't have gone down that route, I don't think. But then, do you... What can you do? Zod has been imprisoned. Perhaps they could have escaped and been in 3.
Would you have brought Batman in?
Certainly wouldn't have brought Batman in.
I'm just trying to think what I'd do. I mean, like you said, it's just... You don't know anything different, do you? Because you've only watched 3. As it is, I mean, so... But anyway, get to the ending. He's a good guy again.
Puts everything right.
Puts everything right. Saves Richard... And then he goes and takes Richard Pryor's character...
To a coal yard.
Which is, incidentally, London.
Is it?
Is it Battersea?
Oh, Battersea Power Station.
Yeah, that's there. That is.
I thought that was the scrapyard, or is it all
Might be
done in
both.
the same place?
I'm not sure about the scrapyard bit, but I know that was the that bit. Yeah.
And he crushes a.
Finds a diamond. Where's that come from then?
Well, that's what diamonds are made of, carbon, aren't they? Compacted over the years, so he compacts it into a diamond.
Yeah, but the shape and everything.
I know, yeah, it's good, isn't it? A cut diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Amazing.
He's Superman though.
Yeah.
And then the ending, he proposes to her.
Yeah.
And then Superman 4, she's out of it, and he's back with Lois. Dirty. Dirty.
Superman's a two-timing.
So what was the box office and everything then? Talk to me. Tell me the facts.
Budget of 39 million. Only took 70 million worldwide.
Was a bit of a flop, wasn't it?
Yeah. You've got to think that people went to see it and then word got round that it was a bit rubbish, campy, and so they didn't carry on going to see it.
How can you not have the opening? I know we've touched on it, but
although it was the 12th highest grossing film of 1983.
Must have been some poor films out there, yeah. Yeah, how can you not do the opening?
I
How
know.
can they go with that? I to this day I still don't know how they went with that. Surely somebody must have said you can't mess with the tradition.
They just got a few things wrong, and those few things that they got wrong added up to it failing as a film.
Well, Christopher Reeve didn't want to do another one after that, did he?
No.
He was adamant he was never doing another one after that because it was that bad. I mean, obviously, it tickles me though the way they have to sell it first before the film comes out, saying this is the best one of all, and then afterwards it's like Rocky, innit? You know, he sold Rocky 5 as being this is going to be brilliant. This film.
No, but it was.
And
horrendous.
then afterwards he says it's the worst thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I think that's how he was with 3.
It scores 26% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That means
not many people like it. Critics hated it when it came out.
it lost.
There
the
was
essence,
too much
didn't it?
slapstick and stuff like that in it. It just, and it wasn't funny.
No, it wasn't funny.
You know, the whole sequence at the beginning kind of sets the tone for it, doesn't it?
Oh,
Like
terrible.
you said, with the penguin on fire and the blind guy and all of that. And the
Well, it actually
telephone
starts with
boxes.
Richard Pryor, doesn't it, in the job seekers allowance thing.
yeah,
And that's how Superman starts. That's just not right. Where's the dilla dilla? You know that bit?
yeah. It says here that Christopher Reeve was talking about Richard Lester, saying he was always looking for a gag.
Go on.
Sometimes to the point where gags involving Richard Pryor went over the top. I mean, I didn't think that his going off the top of a building on skis with a pink tablecloth around his shoulders was particularly funny.
Well said, Christopher.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Christopher.
I am as well. It must have been so hard though for someone like Christopher Reeve. Again, he's probably doing what we said earlier with the Ghostbusters one. He's probably alright, yeah, I'll do another sequel. Because let's be honest, he didn't make many other films, did he? He was a bit typecast.
What you have to remember is the guy who wrote the script for 3 was the guy who wrote the original script for 1, and that Richard Donner hated.
God, can you imagine how bad one would have been?
He got his mates in, didn't he, to rewrite? Didn't Mario Puzo have something to do with it? Writer of The Godfather?
Yeah. Well, no, they couldn't get him, could they? That's why they got
I'm
them.
sure he had a
to.
draft of it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Of 1, anyway.
I think so, yeah. But they couldn't. He didn't have. I don't know if he was doing something else or whatever.
But yeah, Donner hated. Like I said before, I think it's only Richard Donner who saved the first film from being as campy and
Well, we've seen all the
ridiculous
making
and
on the
comedic.
DVD and everything, and he said, didn't he? He said that the draft that they had originally had to be chopped, changed, and they spent months on it.
Yeah, it was, you know, thankfully he was on it and it was a great film, and that made us fall in love with that particular Superman franchise, because we haven't fallen in love with the new incarnations, have we?
No, never will.
You know, like we said before, Superman Returns had a lot of potential, and Singer tried to play to the fans, I think.
And I like what he did. I like the fact that he kept the music, the opening.
It was just not. It was like the opposite of Man of Steel. There wasn't enough heroic action in it.
True.
Whereas in Man of Steel, there's too much CGI, too many fights. It's just
no warmth.
It's just
You don't warm to the characters, do you?
There were points in it where I was like, "What is going on here? Who's where? What?" You know, in the fight scenes.
And don't get me wrong, there will be people that love that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're not knocking the people that like Man of Steel and things like that. It's just that I am, and I'm sure you are, such a traditionalist of the first 4, and I can say 4 because even the fourth one It's not that anymore. And to be fair, they have for years though. You can tell people you're yawning again.
I did, yeah.
People have wanted it to be to the comic books, and I dare say at the time, I know there wasn't internet, but people were probably saying at the time, this isn't Superman. Where's the comic characters and all
there
that?
are those, I'm sure, those die-hard comic book fans who still feel that way.
But for me, growing up, this is what it was. This is why Superman. Everyone knows who knows me and knows I love Superman. But do I love the comic version? No, I don't know anything about the comic version. That's why I'm probably a little bit lost with Man of Steel. I don't really know what's going on.
There's, like with 3 and 4, we talked about them and said that they're not particularly good. However, they are still part of that original series, and they are still films that I will watch over and over again. I won't ever turn it off if it's on.
No, only that one bit.
That bit, yeah.
Only that one bit, yeah. There's literally no continuation whatsoever from 3 to 4, though, is there?
No, or 2 to 3.
Nor 2 to 3, no. Nothing. Nothing's mentioned. There's no link whatsoever.
Well, you would think from 2 to 3 there would be some continuation because, as we said, it's got the same director who was eventually credited with being the director of 2, although he wasn't. We know that it was 60-70% Richard Donner. So you've got the same director for 3 who's suddenly allowed to do what he feels is best with it and what the Salkinds obviously feel is best with it. They can't get Gene Hackman, so the Salkinds being the Salkinds, and I obviously I don't know them, but get the impression that they thought they were bigger than the industry and bigger than the film itself, in that
they know best.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter that Gene Hackman won't come on board. We'll just make up a new villain with
Never
Robert
heard
Vaughn,
of villain, yeah.
And so I get the impression they kind of had that attitude about it, and that they thought it was going to be a massive big hit, but their biggest mistake was falling out with Richard Donner.
Well, but everyone knows that, don't they?
Yeah, and Margot Kidder. That's why she wasn't much in 3, as you've said, because she wasn't happy with the way that they treated Richard Donner, and Gene Hackman, as you said, just flat out refused to be in it.
He's adamant though, Salkind, that never happened. He's just adamant that they just wanted a different path, but it's not that at all. She's in her interviews I've seen that she was quite open about how much she disliked what he'd done with it and how they treated it. I'd imagine Christopher Reeve had his say, but he was the one getting paid probably the most. No, not in the third one. It would have been Richard, wouldn't it? But he was very high paid.
I think that 3 appeals to a far younger audience than 1 and 2 do, with all the slapstick and the silly comedy.
Well, I wonder if they thought that they could do. Mind you, they didn't think this, even though I answered my own question. I was going to say, I wonder if they thought they could move this on to another 3 and 4 films after it.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, but at the end of it, they didn't say coming soon, Superman 4. At the end of 2, they said the very last bit of credit was coming soon, Superman 3. So they knew they were going to do a third one.
Yeah.
But they knew nothing about.
But obviously,
4. Richard Donner said he would have done 5 or 6 after 1.
Can you imagine how great it would have been?
Oh, it would have been brilliant. And you know what? They would have all stayed on board, every one of them, Gene Hackman and all them.
Whereas what happened was
that
3 turned out not to be that big a success. So the Salkinds thought they'd go in a different direction. Supergirl, which was just a disaster for them.
Mm-hmm.
Although it holds a little special place in our heart, doesn't it? Mainly because Helen Slater's in it.
Slater,
And so eventually the rights were sold off cheap to Canon for Superman 4, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah. Well, that killed it all off, didn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest, if you actually think about it, 4 was bad in the effects and all that.
I think that 4 suffered from the fact that the budget was slashed.
Yeah. But what I was saying was, if you want me to pinpoint what killed Superman, I think 3 did.
Yeah, well, you're right, because the Salkinds lost interest in it there and decided they wanted to do Supergirl.
Changed direction as well. They went
and that
different.
Didn't work. So then they eventually just sod it and sold it.
Sod it and sold it?
Sod it. They thought sod it and sold it.
Sod it and sold it. It's good, that.
Thanks.
Sorry to all the kids listening out there. Yeah, so I think you're right. I think 3, for me, it just ruined everything that the 1 and 2 built up.
It was the beginning of the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of that particular incarnation of Superman.
And I really think, in some way, I might be wrong, but I really think you can sort of tell with Christopher Reeve that this isn't great, this, is it?
So, I mean, I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do. At the end of Superman 4, Canon still owned the rights. So how does that then revert back to Warner Brothers for Superman Returns and Man of Steel.
No idea. Maybe that.
Canon obviously went kaput at that point.
Maybe it was
the rights bought back.
Yeah, maybe it was a. If all else, maybe don't they have like leases as well? Maybe it was always Warner Brothers, but they just.
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
that it was like you can lease you can do the film, you take it, you do what you want with it.
Maybe some very knowledgeable listener out of our 3 listeners
Well, my mum went right in.
will know and will let us know in the comments, or send us an email or something and let us know what happened with the rights after Superman 4.
Do your order.
Order of what?
Superman's best to worst.
Oh, well, it goes in order of the films.
Does he?
Yeah. Are we talking about this franchise or
Yeah,
all of them?
this franchise.
Superman 1 best, followed by Superman 2. No, yeah, you're right. Superman 4, then 3.
Yeah, you're the same as me then.
Yeah.
Although I've got... Oh yeah, you've got to say 2's the second best then, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could do what you want with him then, because you've
If
got the
you-
story established by 1, haven't you?
You watch the Richard Donner cut of 2, it's hard to know exactly what the finished film would be like, because there's a lot of unfinished sequences in there, isn't there?
I have to say this. Maybe it's because unlike yourself, I've been drilled as a kid watching Superman 2, the original, the Richard Lester one we all know and love. Yawning again. But then I watched the Richard Donner one, obviously when it came out in 2006 or 7.
With the box set.
Yeah. And I just didn't find it as good.
Like I said, I think it's because a lot of it is unfinished. I think if it had been finished and produced properly, then...
Richard Donner was all perfect with the storylines, believable, nice, warmth and all that. And then he did that bit at the start where Lois jumped out the window. And he did this thing where he lasered the canopy to come out of the shop window so she lands on that. And then he run down, and do you know what I mean? And it wasn't...
Say it's the Richard Donner cut. Did he put it together for the DVD?
Well, he was a part of it. Well, yeah, he was sat with it all, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But obviously they didn't film everything that he wanted to, because it's quite short, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as long as...
Yeah, I don't think that Richard Donner cut is the film that he would have made or finished had he been able to film everything else that he wanted to film. Do you know what I mean? The Richard Donner cut is obviously made up of footage that exists. So there's probably a whole load of stuff he didn't get to shoot that he wanted to shoot. So I don't think we'll ever really know what the Richard Donner finished film would have been like.
It'd be great if we get an interview with him. I'd love to know what he had in mind for 3, 4, 5, because he said on the what do you call it when they talk over it? The commentary of Superman 1. He said we would have done. We had plans for 3, 4, 5.
I'm pretty sure that Richard Donner's listening to this.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't he?
I know.
We're global.
What is not to like about it? So, Richard, we're fancy an interview. You know.
Come to our studio.
I nearly gave away the location.
No, don't
Greg.
do that.
Secret location.
No, we're going to come here.
So yeah, that's that then.
Poster's good.
It is, yeah.
It's not the best poster, and to be honest, the poster that you see on all the internet is not the one I remember. The one I remember is when Superman's flying with his eyes with a red laser.
Yeah, that's the VHS cover,
and that's the one I remember the most.
Yeah.
But the one that you see on the Wikipedia and all that is not the one I remember.
So let's give it a score, Greg. Nostalgia factor.
8.
Yeah, it has to be pretty high. I'd agree with 8 there. Film wise.
4.
Really, that low?
Is that too low, do you think?
I would say 5.5 for me.
Yeah, I agree then. No, I agree, because that's probably a bit too low.
Because there are elements of it that could have been great.
It's still Superman, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like we said, the music is very lackluster in it. There isn't any of that Superman music, really, is there? Apart from when he does the scrapyard and he opens his shirt.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good moment.
Still gives you goosebumps, that bit, doesn't it? Yes, it's probably right, yeah. It's just not... Well, it's the worst out of them.
Yeah. We think so.
Yeah, my opinion, obviously.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think.
So we'll leave it there.
Leave it there.
Thanks very much for listening to another episode of the 80s Movie Review Podcast.
Don't forget what's coming soon, though, Jace.
What's coming soon, Greg?
I don't know. What is coming soon?
Retro Collectors.
Our new thing.
And the new 80s magazine show.
Are we going to give that a bit of that away at all? What we're doing in it?
Let's just say... Vroom, vroom.
What was if you've just listened to this one, though, and you don't know what vroom vroom means? Well, shall I just turbo boost over there and turn the record switch off?
I see what you did there, Greg.
Do you like it?
Yeah, but don't go into super pursuit mode, whatever you do.
Okay, Kit.
Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you again soon.
We'll see you again.
Yeah.
Put that vodka down. Ta-ra!
Bye.